Welcome to the STIX training series on STIX core concepts. My name is Brett Jordan. In this video, we're going to discuss the common properties that exist on all STIX domain objects and STIX relationship objects. There are currently 10 common properties that are on every STIX domain object, or SDO, and STIX relationship object, or SRO. I have broken these 10 properties down into 4 conceptual groups, which are basic properties, versioning properties, metadata properties, and data marking properties. The type property is required on all objects and is used to identify the type of STIX object that is being used. The data type for this property is a string and must be in all lowercase with individual words separated by a dash. The ID property is required on all objects. This property contains the STIX identifier for this object. The STIX ID, along with the modified timestamp that we will talk about in a minute, are used to uniquely identify a specific instance and version of an object. The data type for this property is a STIX ID and contains the object type followed by 2 dashes and then a UUID version 4 value. The created-by-ref property is optional and used to identify who created the object. The data type for this property is a STIX ID that points to an identity object as an embedded relationship. We will talk more about relationships in a later video. In this example, you can see the first 3 common properties in the JSON serialization. We will finish fleshing out this example as we go through this video. The created property is required on all objects and is used to capture the date and time of when an object was first created. The data type for this property is a STIX timestamp, which means the value must be in UTC time with the Z designation. And because this timestamp is used for versioning, it must also use millisecond level precision. As a general rule, the created timestamp should not be updated in future versions of the object. The created property is one of 3 properties used in versioning. For more information, please see the video on STIX versioning. The modified property is required on all STIX objects and is used to capture the date and time of when an object was last modified. The data type for this property is a STIX timestamp, which means the value must be in UTC time with the Z designation, and because this timestamp is used for versioning, it must also use millisecond level precision. When an object is updated or versioned, this modified timestamp must also be updated. It is important to note that for the first version of an object, the modified property will be the same as the created property. The modified property is one of 3 properties used in versioning. For more information, please see the video on STIX versioning. The revoked property is optional on all objects and is used when a producer needs to revoke a previously issued object. Revoking an object requires the object to also be versioned, meaning that in addition to setting the revoked property to true, the modified timestamp must also be updated to reflect the date and time when the object was revoked. Once an object is revoked, it cannot be unrevoked. The data type for this property is a Boolean, and must be a literal, unquoted value of true or false. The default value for this property is false. The revoked property is one of 3 properties used in versioning. For more information, please see the video on STIX versioning. In this example, you can see the first 6 common properties in the JSON serialization. We will finish fleshing out this example as we go through this video. The labels property is optional on most objects and is used to capture various classifications, labels, and/or tags that a producer may want to add to the object. On some objects, the labels property may be required. Generally speaking, it is required on all objects where an open vocabulary has been defined for the labels property. The data type for this property is a list of strings. External references is an optional property and used to describe sources of information for the object that are represented outside of STIX. For example, one may use external references to indicate the location of source material about a piece of malware. The data type for this property is a list of STIX external reference. The external reference type contains the following 5 properties. The source name property is a required string property on all instances of external reference. This property would contain the name of the source that is being referenced. The description property is an optional string property that can be used to give extra details about this source. The URL property is an optional string property that can be used to record the URL address of the source. The hashes property is an optional STIX hashes property that can be used to record a digital hash of the site being referenced in the URL. This guarantees that the content being referenced by the producer has not changed when the consumer looks at it. The external ID property is an optional string property that can be used to record an ID for the externally referenced content. In this example, I have removed the first 6 properties to make it easier to see the metadata properties. The object marking refs is an optional property that is used to specify specific data markings and/or data handling requirements for the object as a whole. The data type for this property is a list of STIX IDs that point specifically and only to STIX marking definition objects. Granular markings is like object markings, however they apply to specific fields. The data type for this property is a list of STIX granular markings. We will discuss data markings and the marking definition object in more detail in a later video. Thanks for watching this short video on STIX 2 common properties.